Since I've joined the XJW community more actively and been posting my own videos, I come across a lot of content where active Jehovah's Witnesses are denying that there is such a thing as shunning in the Jehovah's Witness organisation. And it's not just on TikTok, it's in general. When someone highlights that Jehovah's Witnesses shun and how it affects those who are being shunned, the most common answer is we don't shun. So of course, us as ex-JWs, we know that's a blatant lie. However, I think I figured out why they feel so comfortable at saying that they don't shun. It's because they don't use the word shunning. So it is a very manipulative organisation. It basically teaches people to gaslight others, to be dishonest when it comes to keeping the secrets of the organisation. They are very subtle about whether they actually going to give out what it's like being a Jehovah's Witness, which is what my issue is, that I feel that I was deceived when I got recruited at 14, because a lot of things came to light a lot later on when I had already committed myself to being a Jehovah's Witness. I got baptized and I literally learned things like disfellowshipping or not having friends in the world years later. So I can only go by how I was taught the truth, because that's what they call themselves. They think they have the truth. So the way I was taught and what I've learned is I have never really heard it said from the platform or even really in the magazines or books, the actual word shunning or you must shun. They're very clever how they go about it, which is where the gaslighting comes in. So there'll be articles about how to treat disfellowshipped ones or disassociated or those who are classed as bad association. So they will tell the witnesses, so we wouldn't want to eat or drink with them, or we wouldn't want to even say hello or have a casual conversation. So instead of saying don't have anything to do with them, you must shun them, they're actually going around the circles and putting in the way that a normal general witness will think, well, it's not really shunning because, I can do those things if I want to, except that my conscience hurts me and it's said on a platform I shouldn't really. So that's actually a very clever way psychologically of how the organisation is deceiving the general public and how they are even deceiving their own members, because a lot of people will say, if you ask them, well, I heard that you witnesses shun. They say, well, it's up to each individual. Because in the magazines and talks, it'll be said, we wouldn't want to associate with those blah, 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 because then we could incur Jehovah's wrath. And yet you will see some people still have some contact with disfellowshipped relatives, like, for example, where they just say, oh, well, we don't talk about anything spiritual. And then you've got the other spectrum of witnesses who will not even acknowledge that this person exists anymore. So the governing body has created an excellent scheme where they are gaslighting the public, and then they are constantly dropping these things on their active congregations about how you should treat those who are disfellowshipped, even those who, although may not be disfellowshipped, but they are inactive or faded. Because I can remember there's a family in the congregation I was in, they had 4 kids, all boys, and one by one they were all like dropping off apart from one. So the oldest one, he was never officially disfellowshipped, and yet because he didn't go to meetings, his mother and father felt that they could just talk to him just for the most important matters, but yet he was living with a girl, not married. But because he didn't go to meetings, they felt that was a loophole. Now, another person in the Jehovah's Witness organisation would have completely shunned their son, whereas this couple didn't, because it's loopholes, isn't it? It is your conscience. It is, you're responsible to God. Except every now and then, when there's a talk in a convention about, well, you shouldn't really, they'll say, would we want to have close association with those who are inactive? And then they went back. I can remember going back from a convention, and the mother said to me, we think, after the talk, we feel maybe we shouldn't even associate with so-and-so, our son, because even though he is not disfellowshipped, he's still bad association. So as you can see, it's a perfect example on how narcissism is utilised by the governing body to gaslight not just public but their own members, and then keep saying in the talks, well, this is how we should treat them, and would we really want this and that? But they will never use the word shunning, only on very rare occasions, which is why the most Jehovah's Witnesses will say, no, we don't shun. No, we don't do that, because in their mind, that word has not been explicitly used by the governing body. So that is their loophole. So they don't put the people off who don't know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses, because to them it is all about recruiting more people, because they believe their life depends on it. So I don't know. So Jehovah's Witness community, what was your experience when you were still active? Did you find the word shun or shunning used a lot or very sparsely, so that it was kind of almost, so that they don't put themselves in a precarious position, and they can then tell the courts and lawyers and public, oh no, we don't shun, it's up to every individual what they do. And they'll kind of at the meetings and talks, they'll say, well, if you associate with so and so, you've got to think about how Jehovah feels about that. So it's very manipulative. So let me know your experiences.